Good morning, it's Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. We're going to talk some Chiefs here. It's 14 teams in 14 days going through the Bills' opponents, brought to you by Northtown Automotive. Get a Northtown Engine Shield engine protection warranty on new and used vehicles. Joining us now to talk Chiefs, Jay Binkley from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City on our Odyssey sister station. Morning, Jay. There really aren't a lot of details, right, about this story, Andy Reid's office. Like, it's just kind of, it happened, and we don't really know much else.
No, we don't. I mean, it's kind of, out of the blue, and it's weird how it, is not in the news at all for, well over a year. It's kind of weird how it happens, and where the stadium sits, it's not exactly, like, near anything either. It's just kind of off, on its own. So it's kind of weird,
Yeah, and they've installed bulletproof glass and stuff, so we'll see, right, if they make any more announcements, if there's anything to that investigation. So
very weird.
Let's get to what's going on with the Chiefs. Before how camp's gone in the season, preseason, are they treating this differently? Because I don't think I've seen much of Mahomes, and typically it's always brought up how he's one of these guys that will play usually at least a little bit in the preseason.
Yeah, he's playing tonight.
He's playing tonight.
The starters are playing tonight. He did play that opening series in the first preseason game and didn't play in Seattle. Was still, there. And Andy Reid does something that I think is pretty cool. Everybody wears the uniform. Like, everybody dresses out, and nobody goes to the locker room and changes into street clothes. They wear the uniform the whole time. Whether you're playing or not, they're all in their uniforms. They're not, dressed in street clothes or anything else. So I like how he kind of appreciates the game like that. But they didn't play in Seattle. It was a rainy game. It was on turf, so they made the decision not to play. But the starters will play tonight. It is the only preseason game at Arrowhead Stadium. So both Caleb Williams of the Bears will be playing. Patrick Mahomes will be playing for the Chiefs. Now, I'm not expecting a whole lot, maybe 2 series. That's maximum. One series, he hands off, turns the ball over to Pacheco, lets him run it twice, and then throws the ball. So not expecting a lot of action from him.
All right, tonight, 8:20 Eastern time for Bears and Chiefs, and you're going to get starters on both sides, which week 3 of the preseason, sometimes that's rare. Yeah. So if you're looking for something tonight, what's been the biggest story for the Chiefs so far? And is it, if I could lead you here a little bit, is it Josh Simmons, their first-round pick, on the offensive line? That's a guy I've been interested in, given that Super Bowl looked so tough for them on the offensive line, and this guy was supposed to go higher than he did, and it was because of injuries. And I don't know, it sounds like all reporting has been pretty good on him so far.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's kind of interesting where they got him. The fact they got a left tackle at the end of the draft in the first round that, to be honest with you, before the injury happened, in October at Ohio State, he was probably going to be the first left tackle taken. He was going to be higher than Will Campbell. He's going to be higher than Kelvin Banks. Was the highest, and all the other teams, passed on him. But the Chiefs, training staff, they gave the mark to Brett Veach to go ahead and draft him. And they've done this before because Trey Smith, the highest paid guard in the National Football League now for the Chiefs, was a 6th-round pick a couple of years ago that a lot of teams passed on, blood clot problems and things like that at Tennessee. And the Chiefs don't typically draft people, with some kind of injury concerns or injury history, but they did, and he turned out well. So props to the Chiefs training staff for giving the green light for Brett Veach to go ahead and draft him. But yeah, Josh Simmons has been the main story, and it's one of those things where maybe it was going to take a while for him, and was he going to sit out of training camp for a little bit, because it is that patellar tendon knee injury, which is a tough injury. Rashawn Slater had just had the same injury for the Chargers, their left tackle. He's now out, and they talk about him being a bigger person. It's harder to come back from. Well, Josh Simmons the same way, but he came to Kansas City with a great attitude. He hasn't sat out once. Was there for many camps, all through training camp, never took a day off. They never rested him, played every day. They brought in one of their former tackles, Mitch Schwartz, to work with him at minicamp and trying to get him up to speed. But that is the big thing. And, you think about last year, the Chiefs had a first-team All-Pro left guard in Joe Thuney. They had Creed Humphrey, first-team All-Pro at center. You had a Pro Bowler in Trey Smith. The one thing, it's a very good offensive line as far as accolades, But obviously, with Joe Thuney playing out of position at tackle in the Super Bowl instead of guard, where he's at, but they've traded him on to Chicago this year. That's where he's at. But that hole was that left tackle. Just how important that is. To me, it's the second most important position on the football field behind quarterback, having that left tackle. But that really makes the offense go. That's why they went from first in points per game in the NFL to 15th the last 2 years, because of that revolving door at left tackle. But Josh Simmons has been the number one story in training camp. Number two story is the wide receiver position. Is Rashee Rice going to miss time? Well, he is going to miss time, but when is the suspension going to happen for Rashee Rice? So that's been the top two stories, I think, for the Chiefs, is left tackle and depth at wide receiver.
Would you say with that they're like, how does Kansas City view what their offense has become? I know how I view it. Like, I view it as a missed opportunity to not be able to top a team in the playoffs, that they're not scoring 35 a game like they were a few years ago. Yeah. Like, it does look a little bit more closer to the pack, and they still are figuring out ways to get there, and defense is a lot of that too. How does Kansas City view that? Like, is there a desire, a call out? Is it more tempered than that to see their offense get back to what it was with Mahomes in the first 2-3 years of what they were offensively?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've made adjustments in the way the safeties are positioned and trying to really bring the Chiefs into a shorter passing game. It's been a real emphasis on defense. I mean, they've seen everything. Everything has been thrown at them. But I give the coaching staff credit for making adjustments. And last year was, I think, a really interesting year for the Chiefs. And I think it was Andy Reid's best year coaching, to be honest with you, even though they didn't win a Super Bowl. They won 15 games and won the division by 4 games with a team that wasn't supposed to play like they're playing. When they went to training camp, it was Rashee Rice, and it was Hollywood Brown, and it was Xavier Worthy in that speed and throwing downfield, and the Chiefs wide receiver room looked good. I mean, they were explosive in training camp, and everything they talked about is throwing the ball downfield, and then all of a sudden reality happens. Hollywood Brown is hurt in his first reception in the preseason, out for till the end of the year, basically had 9 catches at the end of the year. Rashee Rice was hurt in game 4. So, boom, they're out. They're number 1 wide receiver. They're out their number 2 wide receiver. Then Isaiah Pacheco gets hurt in game 1. So now they're out their top running back, top 2 receivers, and then Travis Kelce was having a slow-down year for him, which he still had 97 catches. So make what you want about his condition and everything else. But you're basically playing without your top 2 wide receivers and your top running back. They had to make adjustments. They had to make adjustments to 3 yards in a cloud of dust, a short passing game, because they weren't the team they were in training camp. They had to totally pivot in who and what they were. So, yeah, things were different. I don't think a lot of people realize just how the Chiefs played last year. I know people look at Mahomes' numbers and they're down and what's going on with him, but I mean, you take a number 1 and 2 receiver and a top running back away from any team, and let's see what the quarterback numbers are going to be. But to win 15 games with that group, that goes to a lot of coaching for what they did last year. But yeah, I mean, that certainly they hope to be a different team this year, get focused on being that down the field passing type team they are. And then Xavier Worthy, he had to step up and be the guy. I mean, for a guy that was a first-round pick that, was going to be behind Xavier Worthy or be behind Hollywood Brown and be behind Rashee Rice, he all of a sudden had to step up and be the guy. Now, it took him a while, maybe till midseason, to where he was kind of on the same page with Mahomes. And then, of course, down the stretch, led the team in catches and yards in the postseason. But, I mean, he had to step up right away. I mean, there's always pressure on a rookie wide receiver, especially a first-round pick. But when you sit behind Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, and all of a sudden they're gone, they had to just do things differently.
Jay Binkley with us from 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. Do you think that also caused them to rely more on Kelce during the regular season than they wanted to? Like, would you expect 133 targets last year? Would you expect them to want to dial that back in a big way this year? If we got to figure out the Rice thing, right? Like, he's going to play early on, and Hollywood Brown and Worthy have to stay healthy. But if all goes well, do you think they want to dial back Kelce?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously the connection, he's got a streak going of 90 receptions a year. I mean, he's always good for that. He came in really good shape and looks good, but they're going to probably keep 4 tight ends. Andy Reid loves running 12 and 13 personnel and 2 and 3 tight ends in a game. So they'll probably dial it back to a certain extent. But, even though Rashee Rice, a different position than Travis Kelce, he runs a lot of the same routes. So with him being suspended and stuff, it'll, for Travis Kelce for 4 to 5 games, whatever the suspensions of being, he'll be more part of the offense going forward. But that's why I respected Josh Allen last year and what he did. That team scored 30 points a game, and a lot of that offense isn't household names. Like, you look at the Buffalo Bills offense, not a lot of household names. Sure, in Buffalo and stuff, and you're seeing the guys, and the guys, but, nationally, not a lot of household names. Stephon Diggs wasn't on that team, but still scoring 30 points a game. That's what good quarterbacks do. Good quarterbacks will deal with the talent they have around them and still find a way to win. That's the bottom line, is win. And that's what Josh Allen did, and that's what Patrick Mahomes did.
What about on that Rice suspension? You said maybe it's 4 to 5 games. Is it weird the timing of it? So it's going to happen in the middle of the season, right? Because of this hearing that's going to not be till the end of September.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, everybody was fully expecting this to start at the beginning of the year, and depending on what reports you see, there's been reports out there the NFL wanted to slap 10 games on him. And then they wanted to put 8 games on him. So clearly the Chiefs and the NFLPA wants to appeal it. So the soonest appeal date they could get is September 30th. I know a lot of people are like, well, the Chiefs are getting away on this. Well, the NFL wanted to slap them with 8 games, 8 to 10 games. And the Chiefs, the NFLPA said, no, we want less than that. And so, yeah, it's probably better. I think it's better. Some don't. Some think, hey, man, just get the suspension out of the way. I don't see it that way. This is a tough stretch of games they have in the beginning. That first stretch that, in Brazil against the division rival and the Chargers, then turn around and play in the Philadelphia Eagles in week 2, then the Ravens a couple of weeks later. Let their rookie wide receiver they drafted, Jalen Royals, acclimate to the system. He'll be better off to go, I think, down the stretch. But there'll be a significant amount of time, 4 to 5, at least 5 games. Probably, Schefter was saying at least 5 games for Rashee Rice. So I assume that's what it's going to be. But I know a lot of people just say, hey, man, just get it out of the way. I'm not like that. Just go in, start the season with all your firepower there at wide receiver. But it's going to happen inevitably. And they were prepared for it happening. They knew it was going to happen.
That would probably line up with a round where the Chiefs will play the Bills in the regular season. Right. Although we are at a point here, Jay, where it's 4 years in a row winning in the regular season, where I think the shine off of beating Kansas City in November has kind of dulled a little bit.
Well, it's one of those things, too. And, the bottom line is, and the big thing nationally has been, is the Chiefs dynasty over? And I can't believe all the stuff I'm hearing about Mahomes and, he slowed down. And put it this way, Mahomes is 29 years old. He's not even 30. He turns 30 next month. All right? He's got 17 postseason wins. 17. You can combine Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. They don't have that many. Mahomes himself has 70. Dude's not even 30 and has 17 postseason wins. That's number 2 all time. Yeah. He passed Joe Montana. Troy Aikman has 11 postseason wins. Joe Montana 16. Patrick Mahomes now 17, and the dude's not even 30. And the one thing is, you've seen guys get better in their 30s. Steve Young built his whole Hall of Fame career in his 30s. Drew Brees, MVP in his 30s. Aaron Rodgers, multiple MVP in his 30s. And then look at what Tom Brady did in his 30s, even his 40s. So, yeah, this whole thing about, Mahomes' numbers aren't, here's the deal. When you have a bad defense, that's when the quarterback numbers are. When Mahomes had 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, he had the worst defense in the NFL, points per game. The second time he threw for 5,000, they were 16th in points given up. So, yeah, quarterbacks are going to put up big-time numbers when the defense is bad. Well, the defense isn't as bad, so he's not going to put up the numbers. But all this stuff about Mahomes, get his receivers healthy, give them weapons. I've always been an advocate of when you have a quarterback like that, you only have them one time in probably your lifetime. I don't see New England having a Tom Brady. I don't see the Chiefs having another Patrick Mahomes. Right. Supply them the weapons. Look at Peyton Manning when he was at Indy, Reggie Wayne, and Marvin Harrison. Those dudes aren't in Kansas City, Give the quarterback as much talent around him. Build that offensive line. Give him firepower. Imagine Buffalo, same as Kansas City, getting that true number 1 and 2 wide receivers through the draft the next couple of years to help their quarterbacks out. I think that's what they need.
I like I like the sound of that. I don't know that the GM thinks that they need that, but they did score 30 points a game without it last year. So
they did.
That's been a little bit of the debate here. Is like you did do it without him. Does that mean you could do it forever without him? That's
here's the deal though. Look at Mahomes. He wins 15 games without his number 1 and 2 receiver. Do you really need them? Well, I don't know. If you buy a Ferrari, you don't want to just sit in your garage, do you? You want to put gas in it and drive it.
You're right. Jay Binkley with us on the Western Hotline. Last thing for you, Jay. On the division, one, how do you view the Chargers at this point? Like, I'm done believing that they're going to – every year it's like, okay, this is the year they're finally going to challenge Kansas City, and they never are able to. I'm almost wondering from you if Denver has leapfrogged them as a serious threat to Kansas City winning, I think it's 9 AFC West titles in a row. Both teams look good on paper, but the Chargers just feels like they're going to Charger. But maybe Denver could be different. I'm not sure how you see it.
I've been waiting for Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and he's gone through the 3 head coaches, and I do think it's a good mix with Jim Harbaugh. But people were talking about the Chiefs' downfall last year, and the Chargers are going to be the number 1 team. The Denver Broncos this year are going to be the team that they're playing on. Let me put it this way. In the last decade, the Chiefs are 17-3 against the Chargers, 17-3 against the Denver Broncos, and 17-3 against the Raiders. I mean, every year people are picking the Chargers or the Broncos, and then the end result is the Chiefs win the division by 4 games. Last year was the year that the Chargers were going to finally, step apart and beat the Chiefs in the AFC West, and it didn't happen. I love the head coaches. I think the Raiders are going to be better with Pete Carroll too, to be honest with you. But the coaches in this division are very good, and the quarterbacks are very good. Now, can the quarterbacks, can Bo Nix in Denver take that next step? Can he be C.J. Stroud, who didn't have as good a year as he did in his first year, but still a very good year last year for Houston, getting to the postseason. But I think the team closest to the Chiefs is the Denver Broncos, and you look at how they're approaching it and what they do in the draft. So instead of drafting running backs like the Raiders and the Chargers did in the first round, Denver drafted Jahdae Barron, a cornerback out of Texas, and to put a Surtain there. That's how you stop Mahomes. That's how you win a division. Winning a division is not drafting a running back in the first round. A division is looking at a team saying, all right, well, this team has won 9 straight divisions. How do we slow them down? Well, we slow them down with the pass rush, and we slow them down with the secondary. Those are the 2 ways we can slow Mahomes. Why not try to beat the team that's won 9 straight division titles? Why draft a running back? Why not draft something that'll slow Mahomes down?
Yeah, I like it. Denver would, for me, also be the next team before the Chargers that I would look at in that division. Jay Binkley.
Good defense. Just a solid team.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us, Jay, and maybe we'll talk again closer to the start of the season or once the season gets rolling.
Anytime you guys want. Take care.